Hi, yeah. This is I don't know how long this is going to be, but I'm going to give you multiple reasons why there's why a high body count, and I'm going to give you specific reasons why a high body count doesn't work and is not necessarily a good thing. I would say not necessarily. It's definitely a bad thing for a woman. I'm going to start out here with a couple of caveats, probably more than two, but I'm going to start out with a couple of caveats. First of all, I am going to refer to the 1 to 10 rating system a couple of times in this video. That is, I'm going to have to clarify this because there's varying versions, and each person's value of what 1 to 10 is going to vary from male to male. And that's the first thing I want to know. I'm going with the male version, the female version that you see on. By the way, and this was the whatever podcast that I saw that I finally hit my limit on this. I'm talking about the male version, the one where being a 10 is actually worth something, and not just a bunch of women saying that they're 10s and just by all of them saying they're 10s, devaluing that number completely. The other one is that this is mostly for the guys. If ladies, if you don't like how and the things I'm going to describe here, well, you can send your complaints to iambutthurt at idon'tgiveashit.com, and you will receive no response. Okay, this is for the guys. You want to listen to it? Go ahead. Don't care if you like what you hear. 3, and this goes into the Whatever podcast. The Whatever podcast is the single largest podcast and show in the manosphere right now. And it's going, and even if they do manage to successfully shut it down, which I suspect they probably will at some point, there's going to be hybrids of it emerging elsewhere. I'm not a big watcher of the Whatever podcast. I really am not in the mood to sit down and listen to women opine really stupidly for 3.5 hours, and every once in a while you'll get a moment in there. But for the most part, I mean, I find the show really dull and uninteresting. The highlights can be very interesting, but I mean, like getting to those highlights, you have to sort through a whole bunch of other stuff, which, by the way, is also can sometimes be interesting. But I mean, again, I don't have time to be sitting down and listening to a 3-hour podcast most nights, and when I do, it's usually not whatever. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is this. Maybe there is another video somewhere giving the reasons why. I have not found it yet. If somebody wants to post a YouTube link or whatever showing me that somebody else has broken this down in exact detail, I would love to hear it. There's 13, but I can think of 14, and there's a bonus one at the end, which is, well, you'll get to it when you get to it. But yeah, without any further ado, I am going to just go into the reasons why, and I'm going to start out with the one that I saw in this particular whatever show, this one clip that I was shown, and I'll get into, and then I'll get into all of the other ones, and there's a significantly large number of them, right? And again, ladies, feminists, progressive males, white knights, don't give a fuck if you like this stuff or not. So, without any further ado, let's get into it, starting with the one that I actually saw on this whatever podcast clip. All right, number 1, STDs. Now, this was the one that was mentioned, a higher risk of STDs. This is the one that got mentioned on the Whatever podcast, and this seems to be the one catch-all about this. And, yeah, the STD, this one is the obvious one. Here's the reason why. There are STDs that are fucking permanent, right? Like, if you're with a woman with a high body count, I mean, you have to use a condom. You have to be thinking ahead. You can't just go, I mean, if you want to raw dog it, be my guest, man. But, I mean, even if you're on an LTR with this woman, I mean, you, like, you know, sorry, dude, if she gets offended that you want her to go in and get fucking screened for stuff, like, you know what? If she gets offended by that, man, you need to be kicking her to the curb. Nothing personal, right? Some STDs are permanent. Some of them are debilitating. Some of them will, like HIV, for instance, will actually fucking, and syphilis will kill you too. Those two will actually kill you over a long period of time. There is a very significantly larger risk that she is going to have these, or have had one of these at one point in time or another. That doesn't excuse you and your behavior, but yeah. And this is unfortunate because when I get to some of the other ones, you'll understand why even after you marry her or you're in a long-term relationship with a woman like this, you still have to use condoms. You still have to be thinking ahead, right? It's like, it's a major turnoff, you know, and a reminder of what she used to be like, that even if you've been with her for years, you still have to fucking use a condom because you're just not sure. That's a reminder every time you sleep with her, every time you have sex with her, right? You have to keep that in mind. That's a massive turnoff. Like, that is, that is something, and that's on her. They want to get offended about this particular situation. That's too bad. They chose to do it. So yeah, very. I'm not saying again. Like, again, I will also throw this in. Like, I will have to throw in a couple of caveats here. Have to necessarily circle back here and throw in a couple of caveats. But one of the big caveats is that not all of these will apply to every single woman with a high body count. I'm just saying that there's a significant chance that any and all of these are going to be included. And the last one, which is the bonus, does apply to all of them. So, yeah, not saying that she has. I am telling you, though, that you do have to take precautions. And you have to take precautions with her even years after, even if you've been with her for years. And some of the other reasons you have to take those precautions, I will get into. Number 2, dangerous or insane exes. Now, just the sheer number of guys that she has been with, there is a almost 100% probability that she picked the wrong one at one point in time. And I will go into asshole later on, but given the penchant for women just loving to fucking spread them for the biggest asshole in the room, you have a very significantly increased probability that one of these motherfuckers is still around. I've had some direct experience with this. The first time I ever received a death threat for anything was from a psychotic ex of a woman that I was with. The guy literally threatened my life. Been with her for a couple of weeks at that point, and she had neglected. I mean, I didn't really give a shit about her body count. And to a great extent, I still don't. Which means I have to take the precautions, but that's neither here nor there at this point, right? I have to take the precautions. But yeah, like, that threw me for a loop. Like, that literally killed the relationship right there. Right? Like, wasn't going to die to keep getting laid. Hindsight being 20/20 and realizing some things down the road, it probably wasn't going to happen. But you know what? At the time, especially since it was my first time I'd even come anywhere close to that, yeah, like, the first time you get one of those, it's fucking jarring. right? And she didn't mention it to me. Now, having gone through enough Manosphere content over the years, this can and does happen. She has picked, because she has been not particularly selective of the guys, not because she's been a slut. Okay? Because she's been a slut, she has been a little less than picky sometimes about the guys that she's been with. Right? So, yeah. Very high probability that there is going to be at least one fucked up, one disturbed, one psychotic, one danger ex-fucking con, an asshole, whatever. Very high probability that there's somebody like that in her past. Them's just the facts, folks. Moving on. Topic number 3. Given the increased risk of insane or psychotic males being around her, you'll have a much greater likelihood of a plain old asshole showing up too. Going back to the way women love to just fucking spread them for the biggest asshole in the room. But that's not necessarily the only thing that you have to fucking worry about. You'll get the asshole who is just an asshole and will start saying and doing and groping or whatever your fucking girlfriend or wife, or even the women that you just hooked up with, right in front of you, and won't give a shit. Right? Some of them will be so bad that they will voluntarily come up to you and start telling you all about her sexual history or sexual past, whatever. That's a really jarring thing to find out. Or in one particular case, this one guy, not to me, this happened to somebody else, had an asshole ex basically come up to her and tell him that he had intercourse with her in ways that this particular guy wouldn't do. And he didn't necessarily need to know about it. But again, right, yeah, this one is unlike number 2, where the individual there's a possibility where it might not, or the guy might not be around. Given the penchant for women to just fucking spread them for the biggest asshole in the room, you are going to encounter a guy like this. Worse yet, if she was in a long-term, this one is serious, if she is in a long-term relationship with this asshole, and by God, good fucking God, why did you fucking hook up with a single mother? But yeah, you will have to deal with this guy whether you fucking want to or not. Hate to break it to you, man, but yeah, that number 3 is probably about the closest to with women with high body counts. Number 3 is almost a virtual guarantee. Why is it almost a virtual guarantee? Because women, and again, ladies, I don't give a shit if you fucking like me saying this. Man, stop fucking the assholes if you don't like me saying that. Okay? That clear enough for you? Alright. This leads me rather conveniently into topic number 4. Or reason number 4. Sorry. Which is a significant higher probability of violence, bad feelings, because someone from her past is coming along, or she's just been stringing another guy along, who also, given the fact that women love to just fucking spread them for the biggest asshole in the room, right? This guy might just try to move in on your girlfriend, wife, significant other, just because he fucking can, and will try to fucking do it in front of you. That's a particular situation of a dominance hierarchy. You got to understand that that's what this guy is trying to do. He's trying to establish himself up higher on the totem pole by making a move on your woman. Or what the hell are you doing with a woman like that is beyond me. But trying to establish him as a more worthy male. And even if you will just simply allow her to handle it. And by the way, there's a lot of cases where she will just fucking slough it off on you, right? You know, this is I've done this particular video before, the honorable male, right? This is one of those situations where you have to basically step in and defend your territory. And in this case, that territory includes the woman, or you have to be willing to let her walk or lose face or whatever. By the way, that's exactly what that other guy's trying to do. Or worse yet, she's been seeing this other guy being either infidelis or stringing this guy along as the replacement for you, aka she's not yours, it's just your turn. Yeah, this is not a good one. But no matter how these situations go down, violence and bad feelings are almost guaranteed. And you know, it has got to be one of the most angry and frustrating things that you have to deal with a guy, right? Should I have fucking punched this guy's lights out? Should I have just kept walking? Should I have just let her go? Why didn't I? Coulda, woulda, shoulda, mighta, right? I hated that. I know a lot of other guys who have hated that. By the way, which is why I tend to stay away from women, in particular with married women or women with kids or whatever, right? Just, you know, the bad feelings, and they are going to come up, and a lot of them are gonna be either directly or indirectly involved because of decisions that she made sexually with other guys, not because of anything that you did. And, well, no, I will cover the concept of male insecurity at the end of this, because this is one of the biggest cop-outs that I see feminists and other women using. You know, take your male insecurity bullshit, shove it up your ass. Ladies, if you're seeing that, especially if you're a feminist, take that fucking shit and shove it up your ass. I will cover the concept of male insecurity at the end of this. Just saying. Number 5, seriously, is that a male friend or a friend or a guy that's in waiting? If she has a high body count, there's a virtual certainty that one or more of these are present, especially if, and this is why I remember I was talking to you about the 1 out of 10. I use the 1 out of 10 category that involves all women. So you're talking about the 90-year-old great-grandmother sitting in a retirement home who's no longer sexually active would be like a 1. Or Gorlock the Destroyer would also be a 1, right? If she is a 6 or higher on that scale, and she has a high body count, I'm going to have to say there's probably about a 99% probability that she's stringing along another guy or two. That male friend of yours is either another guy she's banging or another guy that she's stringing along. If she has a lot of male friends, that is a big, huge red flag. I mean, if you see something like that where you have a woman with a lot of male friends who always seem to be hanging around her, my suggestion is that you start developing an exit strategy and do it soon, because guaranteed she's going to try and do it to you. Yeah, sucks to have to find this out, but again, right, and we'll get into the concept of male insecurity and shit like that. But I mean, yeah, it creates bad feelings, it creates tension, it creates it does. It creates insecurity. It creates a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm going to have to do a particular video on the concept of insecurity and how women tend to use that to shame men. But yeah, that male friend, unfortunately, you are going to have to consider that guy as either a potential rival or whatever. and the high body count, I was almost virtually guaranteed that she's going to do that, especially if she's like above a 6. And that gets me into the topic number 6. And that topic number 6 is the constant tension that occurs when she talks to another guy because you know she can and has guys on a string before. Yeah, I just went into that with number 5, so I really don't need to reiterating the rules here, but yeah. Insecurity, the understanding that in all likelihood that it's not she's not yours, it's your turn. If she's a wife and doing that, she's your wife and doing that, especially if you've got kids with her, it's like, wow, dude. I don't know what to say. Get one of your own. Start developing an exit strategy. You're losing face and respect because, and I will get into topic number 13. This will definitely come up. You're losing face with family and friends, right? You're losing respect. I actually had a video that I posted up where a woman was disrespecting her husband, and that disrespect bled over into the other people in his life, and they also disrespected the guy. This is... Yeah, this is that level of disrespect, especially if you're only encountering it in one place, which is where I tend to go, in particular with one member of my family. I don't allow that person to be around me anymore. But I mean, imagine if it's your fucking girlfriend or heaven fucking forbid it's your wife that's doing that. I mean, yeah, like that's a tough call to make, especially if you had kids with her. And you remember what I was telling you about the kids finding out? Yeah, the kids know what's going on, right? This is not just you and her. You're not living in an isolated bubble. It's like everybody around you. So like this is not good, especially if she's doing it right in front of you, right? Women with high body counts are much more likely to be doing this. All right, so just you might want to keep that in mind. Point number 7, infidelity. Yeah, she's gone there. There's a good chance she's done it multiple times, including having a side guy. I'm not going to say all women with high body counts do this, but from a statistical point of view, I'm going to have to say it's going to be somewhere in the high 90s that she does this. And I'm not just talking about having another full-blown relationship with another guy. I'm just talking about meeting some guy when she's on vacation, or when she's got that high body count, like where is she during these mysterious blocks of time where she just disappears, right? Zealously guarding the phone, having it locked, whatever, not allowing you access to said phone. Yeah, I mean, like that's, I hate to break it to you, man. This one sucks to have to hear, but it's true. If she's got a high body count, and again, especially if she's 6 or higher, man, there's I'm going to have to say almost like a 99% probability with most women that she hasn't been faithful. And that sucks to have to tell that to guys. I really don't give a shit if the women like what I'm saying or not. But again, right, it sucks to have to say this, but I mean, yeah, she hasn't been faithful. Period. End of fucking story. There's going to be that one guy who fucking messages me, my ex-girlfriend had a high body count, and she's been faithful to me all the whole time. I'm like, well, that's fucking great. I'm happy for you, right? What about the 99 other guys where that hasn't fucking happened? Okay? Like, the exception in this case does prove the rule. Hate to break it to you. Yeah, moving on. Number 8, high body count indicates less loyalty. Yeah, I don't particularly care if you like reading this. Yeah, just go through topics 2 through 7. They're all about lack of loyalty. That loyalty isn't just about sexuality. Where else does this show up? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. Like, if she's not being loyal here, and if she has a high body count, chances of her being loyal significantly less, right? Like, is that loyalty and is that respect being shown to you elsewhere, right? Significantly less chance of that happening. Reason why is because, well, she has a high body count, she's a slut, and especially if she's above average attractiveness, right? She can always go out and get another guy. Yeah, it sucks to have to say it that way, but yeah, like, that statement, these hoes ain't loyal, is there for a reason. Like, they ain't fucking loyal, right? And that loyalty doesn't just apply to the matter of sexuality and whether on her sleeping with you. That respect, disrespect applies in a lot of other areas as well. And you don't want to find that out the hard way. But yeah, if she's got a high body count, right? You definitely got to have your own space. And the amount of loyalty that you're going to get from her, even if you have kids with her, and again, having kids with her doesn't necessarily mean she's not going to wander around and she's not going to sleep around and whatever, right? Because Big Daddy State, with the gynocentric courts and whatever, will be more than happy to back her up, right? Like, you've handed her a gun and she can use it at any point. And, and that also plays into the loyalty. So yeah, I don't really fucking care if you like me saying that. Again, right? Let's do your contact email. Use it. Don't expect a response. Point number 9. High body count also indicates a strong potential for being used as a resource as opposed to being a couple. Refer to topic number 8, point number 8. Number 9. High body count. Yeah. Given the transactional nature of sexual intercourse that women will tend to take, and by the way, paying for her favors does not necessarily just come in terms of straight up money, right? There are other ways that she can make you pay. And yeah, she's used to having guys do whatever she wants, or will do a lot of things that she wants, because she's willing to sleep with them and she's willing to use that. And very good probability that she has used that as a straight up transactional thing, right? And again, this is something that comes straight out of the manosphere. Yeah, you're a resource to her. Period. End of story. Even if she does have the inherent wisdom to understand that you're not just her tool, right? More than likely she has friends that will reinforce this particular narrative with her. So yeah, high buddy count, even if she's quote unquote outgrown it or whatever, right? I mean, she's been used to having guys be a resource for her, right? And she will still continue to use it that way. And you have a much more high, yeah, I've talked to guys who have, or read stories about guys with women who have had body counts, and this is something that seems to consistently come up. So if it's consistently coming up, right, then there's definitely a trend here, and you have to be aware of that. Like, high body count, yeah, okay, you get your fun, but it's like, yeah, the transaction, the bill that comes afterwards, right? Yeah, that's something that you have to be concerned about, right? Try not to be a resource. I think number 10. This one's one you really need to be paying attention to. Right, like there are some mental illnesses. Oh yeah, topic number 10, our chance of being underlying mental or serious emotional issues with her. Yeah, there are some mental health issues that I don't think you want to have around her. Now, it might be fun at first being married to a sex addict or a nymphomaniac. That comes with all of the other stuff that I've mentioned before, and I still got a few more. Also, you were also talking about. Remember talking about that asshole who decided that he was going to walk up to you and tell you about all the things sexually that he did to her, even though you didn't want to hear it. Yeah, why did she allow that to happen? Yeah. This is a bad one, right? Because you're not just talking about things that people that she will allow into her life because of all of these mental and emotional conditions that she might have. It's also the fact that she will drag you into these, and it's like it might not, like a clean break with a woman like this might not even physically be possible, right? She can come back years later and say something about you. She can say something that you said and take it out of context. There's a whole myriad of mental issues that come up. I mean, one of the frightening ones, and one of the ones that is really difficult to deal with, is pedophilia and incest, especially if it comes from her dad. I have yet to meet a guy, and there's gonna, of course, be potentially somebody who's gonna come into my comment section and go, "Oh yeah, my wife and we're getting a lot of that." Again, that's fucking great. What about the other guys that it's not happening to? Right? The exception proves the rule. Again, right? There's just certain underlying mental and emotional issues to which sex is tied, or that have been a huge factor in why she has such a high body count, right? And if you're the guy that's currently with her, you're going to be dealing with those issues whether you like it or not. And there's some of them. Yeah, you poor guy. Sorry you stuck your dick in crazy. But you know what? Now that you've done it, it's like, what the hell do I do? Sorry, this is not a place that I'm going to offer a whole lot of advice here. But the first thing that I would suggest is, you need a fucking exit strategy. And also, by the way, you need to protect the kids. And this is something that I forgot to mention, so I'm just going to throw it in here on 12. There is a much higher probability that this, especially this attitude towards sex, is going to get passed down to the kids if you're not watching. Specifically, if you have a daughter. Very, very high probability that the daughter is going to end up exactly like the mom if you're not careful. And you have to be on the lookout for that from day one. I'm probably going to have to throw that in as a caveat at the end, but I will get back to that one in time. But Yeah, mental health issues are no laughing matter. All right, number 11. And this one, I mean, I've talked about lack of loyalty at at one point in this. Yeah, number 9. I talked about this at number 9. Uh, and also talked about this earlier on as well. Yeah, lack of loyalty. Your friends, your family, your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people in your peer group, her friends, all of them, they are going to see the lack of respect, and a lot of them are going to know about the high body count. This is, and again, when I'll get into number 14, when I get to number 14, this is where it really sinks in. In fact, I might even make this number 12 just to kind of spell it out for you. You know what? The immediate family, the kids, are going to figure this out. They're going to see what is going on. The immediate family on both sides is going to see what is going on. They're able to they're going to see this, and that lack of respect is going to bleed over to you. Right? And again, I've gone into lack of respect and how it affects literally everything in your life. Same thing here, right? Pity, scorn, hatred, anger, a number of things, right? Like, for instance, my response towards simps, right? I can't stand simps. I hate how they sell out everything they've got just to get laid. And from my pre-MGTOW days, I saw... That's a reminder of what I used to be like, and when I see other men doing that now, I see myself. I have no problems admitting that, by the way. That's the type of thing you're going to expect, right? I know one guy who had to explain why it was. The kids were older when they found out, but yeah, having that conversation with Junior, hey, mom's a fucking slut, right? Your mom's a slut. That's not a fucking conversation you want to be having with your kids, right? Probably another 25, 30 years, there's going to be a lot of dads around a lot of tables, assuming they're even still together. There's going to be a lot of dads having to have this fucking conversation with their kids, right? Don't know exactly how that's going to look, but yeah, I haven't had to deal with this one personally and directly myself, because I don't have kids, but I know somebody who did go through, and yeah, it was a fucking awkward explanation. And let me just go into I don't even want to get into the lack of respect, because that one just generally seems to go all the way down the line here. And okay, I'm going to throw this in at 12. Because I had to add this one in as I was going along, but you do have to throw this in. Very high probability that she's going to pass along her sexual behaviors towards the kids, especially if you're not watching carefully. And you especially have to be careful that it doesn't pass on to the daughter, right? Not only is it going to be the mom, but it's going to be a lot of her friends around her. And when I get to topic number 13 and 14, I will get into this a little bit more. But the mother will be a lot more permissive in the attitudes towards the daughter. The daughter will definitely go to the mom with certain issues before she thinks about going outside of the family. Some moms will probably regret their past or whatever and will try to caution against it, but there is I I can think of two right off the top of my head where it's like generational sluttiness. And the guys that come out of this, not really a whole lot better. They tend to go from one extreme to the other, right? This is something that you really have to take charge on, especially if you made the mistake of marrying one of these women and having kids with her. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? Oh, sorry. Thinking with the wrong head would probably be the better word. Because, this attitude is going to get passed down generationally. You can take some steps to kind of like mitigate the factors. You can maybe educate the kids or whatever. But I mean, it's like, this is a generational thing. Again, don't care if there's certain people that don't like what I just said. Tough shit. Number 13. Again, I don't know the actual number, but the odds of the divorce being hostile or acrimonious are definitely higher. The courts are gynocentric. They won't care about her past sexual history unless you can directly prove that the infidelity was specifically and directly tied into her. This infidelity which is a virtual certainty, is going to cause a lot of divorces to happen. That's just a given, right? The whole divorce court industry is set up in a way to make divorces as hostile and acrimonious as possible, so that the lawyers also end up winning as well as the judge. Then you've got the corruption inside child services to boot, which will get called in if a divorce gets too hostile or acrimonious and accusations start to fly, which apparently they do all the time now. This is, just remember, you chose to go there. You accept the consequences for going there. The much, much, much higher chance of an acrimonious and hostile divorce. And that whole family court, divorce court system is an absolute nightmare. It's the reason why the men's rights movement exists and will continue to exist probably long after I'm dead. Sorry, man. Them's the breaks. And number 14 here. And this one, again, I've covered this a few times about the general lack of respect. That general lack of respect won't necessarily also apply to you. It'll also apply to her. So, make no mistake here. People can tell she's slutty. Besides the now well-established stereotype of slut face, and I will say this, ladies, don't care if you fucking like this or not, slut face is a real fucking thing. It's not my problem. You can't see it. But there's also a whole, ladies, I want to say this to you as bluntly as I can here. There's also a myriad of other tales that a woman with a high body count gives out that even the best pretending or acting by a woman cannot hide. So whether you like it or not, people can and will be able to spot her. And that's just people that only knew her before, right? That doesn't necessarily count the people from her past that are still in there, that will say things about her and you. Like, people will know. I have heard a number of women over the years saying, oh, well, there's no way he'll find out. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to make another video about that, because it's like, there are more than a few ways of finding out that have absolutely nothing to do with a woman pretending that she's chaste or whatever. There are ways of finding out. There's ways of doing it that a woman cannot and will not ever be able to cover up. Literally and figuratively, she just can't. And it's not something as obvious as, say, turning blue, but I mean, you can tell. And it's going to affect you, it's going to affect her, it's going to be that elephant in the room, and it's going to be there for the entire time that you're with her. So you either accept it and accept the consequences of it, or you choose to walk away from it. Now, hopefully you don't have any kids or whatever with this woman. You go in, you have your fun, you leave, problem solved. But sometimes, love happens. you know, she gets pregnant, you know. Oh, yeah, I'll throw this in at the end about guys with lots of money and resources, right? Pregnancies happen, mistakes happen, mental issues. She decides to withdraw consent a year, 2 years immediately after you've had sex and decides to go to the police and charge you. And there's a number of things that can happen, right? Yeah, you don't, it's, you know, it's, you can, like, people will just be able to tell. Well, how are they going to be able to tell? I'm not, this is not a list as to what to look for to fucking tell if a woman is a slut or not. There's a huge amount of material out there that will tell you, that will give you specific tells to look for. This isn't this video that I'm doing now. So I have to, before I get into the tail end of this, I have to add in, and I've covered some of this stuff, men's rights, MGTOW, whatever, red pill, all of this stuff. This, by the way, is on top of all of the regular risks involved, and I've mentioned some of those risks in this video. Remember, any involvement with a woman, and again, I don't really fucking care if some guys want to go, you're a fucking incel, you're fucking paranoid, you know what? I mean, everything I fucking said here is true. Okay? Don't fucking like it. You want to fucking scream insults at me for telling you what the facts actually are. Too fucking bad. Go get a fucking life. Or here's a better one. Go find out the fucking hard way. You know, like, we spent a huge amount of time laughing at fucking Destiny over what happened to him. That's all I'm going to fucking say about that. Yeah, that is something that you really have to be aware of and have to take into consideration, have to be concerned about. And it is a concern, right? All of the regular issues brought up, and just go over to the Wikipedia, go look up men's rights movement, and go down and look at those issues. Most of these have some type of tie, directly or indirectly, in some of those. But this, by the way, this high body count thing is on top of all of those other risks. Now, do you see why high body counts are looked down upon? Do you understand now why it is high body counts are frowned upon? I think there'll be women going, well, misogyny and whatever. I don't give a fuck, right? You know, like, I just spent, how much time is it? Because I'm not going to have time to, like, edit out every and whatever in this video to clean it up. I spent almost 15 minutes breaking all of these down for you. Do you see now why a high body count is such a bad thing? Sorry, I've given you 14 reasons why. Plus all of the other stuff at the end. Now do you fucking see it? And, you know, by the way, in regards to the red pill, well, you just get the money and you give yourself and you go hit the gym, bro. And I mean, I hate to break it to you, man, but I mean, you ain't fucking, if you're on the back end of a fucking rape accusation, you ain't fucking lifting your fucking way out of it. It's not gonna fucking happen. Okay, yeah, there's maybe a psychological and emotional benefit from being able to relieve all that stress, but you ain't gonna fucking bench press your fucking way out of a child support payment or alimony or a false accusation or having your fucking life being dragged through the fucking courts. You ain't lifting your fucking way out of that. All right? You ain't gonna fucking style your way out of that either. You're gonna fucking Bugatti your way out of that. Not gonna happen. Sorry. Going to the gym will relieve the emotional issues, but it ain't fucking the accusations and the legal shit. You ain't fucking lifting or styling your way out of that. And if you get the money, you know, and this is something else I'm going to probably have to do a video about, having money just simply makes you a bigger fucking target. Yeah, hate to break it to you, man, but it's like when you get the money, you have to, you really have to seriously start thinking about Clark Kenting yourself, because I mean, um, no, I think it's Brittany Renner is her name. The Brittany Renner, fucking with that one guy. It's a video that I put on here where she like literally goes out and says, "Well, fucking jocks are dumb and stupid and rich," right? And she took advantage of that. And now there's a guy in the NBA who's paying. I don't think he's paying the amount that I early heard about, but I mean he's going to end up paying her amounts. It's going to be in the potentially like multiple millions of dollars because he could not fucking not stick his fucking dick in crazy. Or could not stick his dick in a woman that viewed him as a fucking resource and not as a human being. Yeah, sorry, that's fucking true. PJ Washington, I think, is his name. Yeah. And the last one, and this is the one that a lot of feminists will use, including a lot of women with high body, because you're just being insecure. Now, let me, again, right? What point am I in this video now? I'm over 50 minutes in, right? You have a lot to be fucking concerned about, right? Fear, paranoia, potentially being dragged through the courts, potentially having to deal with psychotic exes, potentially having to deal with other suitors, potentially having to deal with her fucking mental conditions, getting disrespected from not just her friends, but your friends. There's a lot of stuff there, potentially, on paper, to fucking deal with. So, yeah, excuse me for maybe being a little bit concerned about my own fucking well-being. Excuse me for maybe having a little bit of fucking healthy fear about the bullshit that is potentially coming at me. Take your fucking, well, it's just male insecurity bullshit and shove it up your fucking ass. Really, seriously, shove it up your fucking ass. Yeah, this has turned out to be much longer than I thought it was going to be. Maybe I will break this down at some point in time, but yeah, you wanted a long, drawn-out, complicated fucking discussion as to why women with high body counts are bad news. Well, now I just fucking gave it to you. I think maybe I might just break this down into smaller parts, but I don't have the time to do it immediately today. So I'm going to just sign off and say a couple things. One, yeah, MGTOW in this particular case is definitely fucking freedom. MGTOW is fucking freedom. Now you got your reasons. And I've given you an expanded explanation as to why all of these reasons need to be kept in mind. Again, I've already fucking answered the insecurity and paranoia part. You have good fucking reason. You have very good reason to have healthy fear and concern about some of this shit that she might throw at you. Don't fucking care if you think I'm paranoid. Don't care if you think I'm being fearful. Don't care if you think I'm being fucking angry. I don't. Right? This is the fucking truth. The truth sucks. Deal with it. But, I have some other things I got to take care of today. So this is Naroki5 signing off. Give this video a like, share. Well, I have a Patreon or whatever. But yeah, enjoy. Keep this in mind. Go back to it at one point. If somebody out there feels like breaking all of these points down into smaller versions, be my guest. I'm not going to stop you. But this is Naroki5. Like, subscribe, and